friends, it's Jessica here from Cherry on Top, and today's video is for our May YouTube hop. And this hop, our theme is flowers, so I thought I would watercolor some flowers. I'm starting with a watercoloring book, and we just got these into the shop. There's a few different types of coloring books that are similar to this, and I think they're so nice. They have a color wheel and a lot of different information and tips on how to color each page. I'm using watercolors from Daniel Smith, and I absolutely love using these swatch cards. There's a little drop of each of their colors, and at first when I grabbed this watercolor swatch card thing, I was like, this paint is not going to last very long, but it is. It's lasting for a while, and I love the range that it gives me, and the watercolors themselves are so beautiful and so nicely pigmented. And my technique for watercoloring these is I'm working on one petal at a time. This is a bit more time-consuming way, but I think it really pays off and each petal becomes its own. I start by getting one whole petal completely wet with just plain water, and then I start just tapping in color in the order that I want it to fade. So the colors that I'm using are ranging from a deep purple to reddish pinkish to orange and then yellow. So I'm really using that color wheel that was in this book because I'm transitioning from purple to yellow. So purple and yellow, when they are mixed together, will create a brown color. But when they are next to each other in a painting, they make each other more vibrant, and that's why they're complementary colors. So that's why I'm doing a transition on these leaves, on these petals, to get from the purple to the yellow. These petals are pretty wet once I'm finished, so I just leave them to dry and move on to the next. And I really make sure that any petal that I'm working on is not going to still be wet as I'm working on the petal next to it. So you see all of these petals are not touching each other, and that's how I know that I can work on those petals. I won't go back to fill in the remaining petals until everything is completely dry. So you can see how I've painted over like every other-ish petal. And then once I start going back in, and start really filling in all of the blank spaces, you can really start to see how this is going to start coming together. I love using this technique. I think it's so dynamic, and I love how each petal looks. You could use this technique on stamps as well as your own designs, or even if it's not flowers, this color gradient transition technique is really perfect for a lot of different types of watercoloring. I'm jumping forward a bit here, and I did some more watercoloring. You can see how the flowers look when they're complete, and now I'm going to show you how I paint one of the butterflies. The butterflies were a bit quicker because I sectioned them off into 4 wings rather than maybe like 20 different petals, and I'm doing this with just 2 colors. I'm using the same purple that I used at the centers of the flowers, and then this really pretty bright blue, and those are the 2 colors that I'm using for the transition. So again, it's not like the 4-ish colors that I used for the flower petals, it's only 2, and it's the same technique, and it gives you a really nice gradient. I made sure to wait till the bottom wings were dry before moving on to the top wings, and you can see how when I first go over with some water before I start adding pigment, it just makes the pigment come together and blend even nicer and quicker. I wanted to keep some of the colors the same throughout this whole piece, so that's why the purple of the butterfly is same as the purple of the flower, and then on these leaves at the tips I'm adding the same yellow that I used in the yellow of the flower. And although the color still changes and it looks completely different, I still feel like it brings it together a bit more. I could have left this piece just like this and framed it, and I think it's so beautiful, but I want to use it on a scrapbook layout, so I am fussy cutting. And once I have them all fussy cut, you can see how pretty they are, and I grabbed a 12 by 12 sheet of watercolor paper, and I'm going to watercolor the background as well, and I'm going to use the same shade of yellow. I'm starting again by having a fully wet background, and then I'm going to start applying the yellow. When working with a larger piece like this, I recommend using a larger paintbrush. The paintbrush I'm using is even a bit small. And I also wanted to mention the watercolor brushes that I really liked using when I was painting the flowers and the butterflies is a round watercolor brush, and I think getting a few different sizes of them is really helpful, because when you're painting something really big, it's annoying to paint with a small brush, and vice versa. When you are painting something small, you don't want to use a big brush. So that's what I recommend, is a watercolor brush set. And I'll have all of the links in this description below, so go there to check all of that. And I want to talk a little bit more about the YouTube hop. So all of our design team members are creating projects using flowers today, and if you leave a comment on this video as well as hop around and leave comments on the design team members' videos, you'll be entered to win a $25 cherry on top gift card. So make sure to go leave some love on all of our design members' pages, and there's also always so much inspiration. This hop is perfect for spring and getting you to start using all the flowers again. I know I absolutely love using flowers. I use flowers year-round, but there's just something special about spring flowers that I love using. And now I am gluing all of these flowers onto my page using my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive. It's my go-to glue for things like this. And then I wanted to use a black and white photo so it wouldn't really take away much from all of the color that I have going on in the background. I backed it with some chipboard and then put on some cherry foam tape to pop it up a little bit. And I wanted to keep the rest of this layout pretty simple, again, to keep most of the attention on all of the beautiful watercoloring that I did. So I decided to just have a title word. This is one of the new title words from Vicki Boutin's new mixed media collection, and I really love these title words. They're big, and you can paint on top of them to make them whatever color and coordinate with whatever layout that you're making. And I know I'm going to go through a couple packs of these because I love them a lot. So I'm doing the same techniques as I was with the whole watercoloring that I just did. I started by getting it all wet, and then I'm introducing color onto it and blending away. And the blending I'm doing is using the same colors that I did with the butterfly. I thought it would pop nicely against my yellow background. And once the watercoloring is all done, I'm going to glue it on. And then you'll see how it really doesn't take that many elements to bring a scrapbook page together. I still have a bunch of pages left in this watercolor book that I will continue to work on, and I'm excited to keep going with it. So here's the finished page, and I hope this inspired you to get watercoloring. Thanks for watching.